Hey, hope you're having an awesome day and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Jason Walter and I'm a realtor here in Sacramento, California. And in this video, I'm going to discuss the advantages and disadvantages of buying a new construction home and what to look out for. Before we get started, to never miss a video about real estate related topics, subscribe to this channel right now and hit the bell to be notified when I post new videos, which I post a new video every Tuesday and Thursday. Okay, let's go ahead and dive into the video. Home buyers can get really excited, especially when they go visit those model homes at those new home developments, because the model homes are already staged, they look very nice with all the upgrades. What a lot of buyers don't realize is that those upgrades can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. The most I've ever seen for upgrades for a model home is $300,000. And those upgrades can include everything that you see in the house. Those can be the tile floors, the tile backsplash, the paint color, the appliances that you have, the type of doors that you have, light fixtures, plumbing fixtures, the list goes on and on. All those do add up to quite a bit when you're looking at a new home. Let's talk about sales price. So the sales price is going to be the base price plus any builder upgrades and then also any lot premiums. The base price is just that. It's the base price for the house with all the standard builder upgrades. The lot premium really depends on the actual lot itself. So if it backs up to a green belt, there may be an added cost to that. However, if the house backs up to a busy road, there may not be a lot premium, and so your sales price would be the upgrades plus the base price. The main advantage to buying a new home is the builder warranty, and that varies by the state that you live in. So the builder may give you a warranty for a year to cover the fit and finishes of the house, maybe 3 to 5 years for the sewer, the electrical, and the plumbing, and also a 10-year warranty for the structure and the foundation. When you buy a house that is pre-existing or a resale home, you do not get this warranty. Another main advantage to buying a home is that there is no deferred maintenance to worry about like you would if you're buying an older home. Also, a lot of the houses that they're building right now have solar, they have stucco, they have tiled roofs, and so those items can last a very, very long time, so you don't have to worry about those deferred maintenance items in the near term. And that's an advantage of buying a pre-existing home where it may be upgraded, but maybe it's not done to your taste. Another key advantage to buying a house that's brand new is that you don't have to wait for the right house to pop up on the MLS like you do for a pre-existing home. And that can be especially true for times when the inventory is very low, like it is right now in Sacramento. For example, when you're going out to buy a brand new house, you can really just walk into the sales office and buy a house that day. You also don't have to worry about how inspections are going to go because everything's brand new. So in the most part, the things that the inspector finds are fairly minor. And on top of that, anything that's found, you can typically ask the builder to fix, and they'll get that fixed prior to the close of escrow. So there's no negotiating back and forth with a seller on what to fix or not to fix for an older house. Obviously, there's lots of benefits of buying a brand new home, but let's discuss the downsides of buying a brand new home. And number one would be that the contracts tend to favor or protect the builder rather than buyer for a pre-existing home. So for pre-existing homes or older houses, the contract really is there and really protects the buyer mostly and not the seller. So when you place an offer on a new home, you actually use their builder's contract, which tends to favor the builder instead of the buyer. So let me give you an example. When you place an offer on an older home, there's contingencies in place that protect you as the buyer. And that'd be your appraisal, your inspection, and loan contingencies, which you may not necessarily have all of those when you place an offer on a new home, so just make sure you review their contract. Another disadvantage of buying a brand new home in a new development are the closing costs. And those closing costs are typically paid for by the buyer for a new home development, whereas if you're in contract and buying an older house, those closing costs are typically paid for by the seller, not the buyer. Another disadvantage of buying a house is that you really don't know exactly when your move-in date is going to be unless the house is already built. So if you're in contract and the house hasn't even been built yet, you really don't know if the home is going to be built in 4 months to 12 months. The builder does give you an estimate about when they approximate when the house will be ready, but it's really hard to decide when you're going to be moving because you really don't know when exactly that's going to be. So there may be weather issues that cause a delay in building the house. There may be delays in getting materials. You really don't know. So if you're renting a house, you may want to ask your landlord if you can be put on a month-to-month lease rather than a long-term lease. However, if you own a house and you're putting that up for sale, you may want to ask your buyer for a rent back or to do a longer close of escrow, just get that worked out before you get in contract on your house. If you are thinking about buying a brand new house, I do recommend that you actually have an agent represent you throughout the process. So there's really no disadvantage to using an agent, because if you don't use an agent, there's no price incentives that the builder gives you. The price that they're going to give you is going to be the same whether you use an agent or not. So in the escrow process or before that, if you have any questions, you have someone by your side who help navigate you throughout the process. Also, the builder's contracts, like I mentioned before, those contracts can be very, very lengthy. I've seen many builder contracts that are over 100 pages long, and you want to make sure that you have someone there to help review those with you and answer any questions that you may have, and also point out any red flags on the contract as well. Of course, you're not obligated or required to get an agent to represent you, but if you do want to use an agent, make sure you bring him or her to the model home before you get in contract. And that's because at the new home developments, the builders won't work with agents unless you do that. If you have any experience with working with new homes, you'll find that the builders always want the buyers to at least get pre-qualified with their preferred lender. And this is really because they just want to double check to make sure that the buyers that they're selecting to buy their homes is well qualified in order to buy the house there. However, you're not required to use their lenders, so I do recommend you still shop around rates with other lenders and ask each of them for what's called a loan estimate, and that will allow you to compare apples and apples to each of the lenders to see what kind of closing costs that they're charging and also what interest rate they're offering as well. Okay, let's talk about prices, because this is really important. For new home developments, the price is typically not negotiable, and I wouldn't focus on price. I would actually recommend two things. And that is, ask the builder for a closing cost credit, which actually decreases your out-of-pocket expenses for your closing costs when you buy the house. Or you can ask the builder for any upgrades. So for example, you can say, hey, I want to buy the house, but I want to have window coverings, a refrigerator, a washer and dryer. It just depends on the builder. The builder is much more incentivized by giving you those free upgrades or a credit rather than a price reduction. This is especially true because they don't want to set a bad precedent for the buyers that are currently in contract. They don't want to see that there's homes that are selling for less than what they're purchasing the house for. The builder, the last thing they want to do is have a whole bunch of buyers cancel escrow and they have a whole bunch of inventory that becomes available. If you want to get the best deal on a brand new house, here's what I would do. I would go to a new home development and ask if they have any move-in ready homes. Move-in ready homes meaning that all they need to do is get a buyer 30 days later or whatever it is in your area. Then the buyer can move into the house and then they can move on to the next new development or new home that they're going to be building. For the houses that are already built, there's a lot of carrying costs already associated with that house for the builder, meaning they've already spent the money on the labor and materials, so they just want to get off the books. So there's a really good opportunity for buyers who want to get a good deal on a house. Another pro tip I have for you are inspections. So a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to buy a brand new house, there's not going to be any issues with the house whatsoever. Everything's perfect. That can be far from the truth. I've had a bunch of new homes that my inspector has taken a look at, and we find out that there's a lot of issues with the home. Sometimes they actually find more issues with a brand new house than an older house, believe it or not. So definitely do your home inspection before you close escrow and during your inspection contingency period, because you may find things that you may want the builder to address prior to closing escrow, and the builder is going to be very, very motivated to get those things done quickly because they want to get the house sold. And that's also another key advantage of buying a brand new home, and that is that the builder more than likely is going to fix any issues that you find during those home inspections, whereas that's definitely not the case for a pre-existing or an older house. If this video was helpful, let me know by subscribing and hitting the like button. I truly appreciate the support from you. Also, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm Sacramento Realtor. I hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.